Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Huzoor says that these verses which I have just recited, they are all verses from Surah Al-Baqarah, in which the spending of wealth is mentioned, and with reference to this sacrifice, almost in a sequence, Allah Almighty has mentioned all these things here. The translation of these verses is as follows. Allah Almighty says, the similitude of those who spend their wealth for the cause of Allah is like the similitude of a grain of corn which grows 7 years, in each year 100 grains, and Allah multiplies it further for whomsoever He pleases, and Allah is bountiful and all-knowing. In the next verse, it says, and the case of those who spend their wealth to seek the pleasure of Allah and to strengthen their souls is like the cause of a garden on elevated ground, and their reward is with the Allah Almighty, and their reward is with their Lord, and they shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. The translation is the next. The example of those, the case of those people who spend their wealth to seek the pleasure of Allah and to strengthen their soul is like the case of a garden on elevated ground. Heavy rain falls on it so that it brings forth its fruit twofold, and if heavy rain does not fall on it, then light rain suffices, and Allah sees what you do. And in the next verse, Allah says that Satan threatens you with poverty and enjoins upon you what is foul, whereas Allah promises you forgiveness from Himself and bounty, and Allah is bountiful, all-knowing. And then Allah Almighty says, it is not the responsibility of to make them follow the right path, but Allah guides whomsoever He pleases, and whatever of wealth you spend, it is for yourself, while you spend not but to seek the favor of Allah, and whatever of wealth you spend, it shall be paid back to you in full, and you shall not be wronged. And then He says, and those who spend their wealth by night and day, secretly and openly, have their reward with their Lord. On them shall come no fear, nor shall they grieve. Huzoor says that the promised Messiah ﷺ, mentioning the financial sacrifices on one occasion, he says that when I repeatedly mention that you spend in the way of Allah, this is with the command of Allah. Islam is being victim of the other religions, and they wish to eliminate completely the name of Islam. When the situation has come to this point, so then for the progress of Islam, it is not essential that we should take steps further. And for this very purpose, Allah Almighty has established this Jamaat, this dispensation, and for its progress to do the effort, it is exactly in compliance with the command of Allah Almighty. These promises are also there from Allah Almighty, that those people who will give for the sake of Allah, then I will give him manifold. In this very world, he will get so much in this life, and after the death, reward in the hereafter, he will be able to see how much comfort is there in store for him. Hadhrat promised Messiah ﷺ, the community of the dedicated people which was granted to him, those who listened to him and immediately responded and complied with it and offered the sacrifices. Regarding those sacrifices, Hadhrat promised Messiah ﷺ says that a large number of the members of our community is of poor people, but by the grace of Allah, thanks to Allah, that despite this is a community of the poor people, But I do see that they have got the truth and kindness, and for the requirements of religion, they, as far as possible, they are not deficient in spending in the way of Allah. Allah the Almighty, the members of the community established by the promised Messiah, Allah Almighty always increased them in their sacrifices and contributions. But Allah Almighty, according to His promise, nearly 130 years ago, the community which was established, and after these 130 years, even after that, the community, there are people who are sacrificing, and there are such devotees in the community. Allah Almighty has been giving the community such dedicated people who, for the sake of religion, according to their capacity, and many times even beyond their capacity, they are offering sacrifices. And they are coming up to those standards and high standards, and they are partaking from those blessings which Allah Almighty has mentioned in the Holy Quran. These standards, by the grace of Allah, nowadays only and only in the community, it is in the community which has been established by the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam. Some examples of that I would like to present today. These incidents and examples, they are in various countries, and the people in the past, those who are fulfilling this covenant that we are always going to give preference to religion over the world, and we are offering our wealth, and always at any time we are ready for that. In the first example, in Cameroon, it's an incident from Cameroon, the Muslim rights from there. Then when we went to the Jamaat in Western region for Tehrik, when we went there, then the chief of the area, Saham Sahib, he collected the people and told them that the Muslim of the Jamaat has come to collect the contribution for Tehrik. So all people should take part in that. Because 2 years ago, he said that I was the only one, or only 2 or 3 people with me. They used to offer the prayer. But since in this village, Ahmadiyya community has been established, and we have accepted this community, since that time our mosque has been filled up with the prayers, with the worshippers. And these worshippers, sometime they do not find a place inside the mosque, and they have to offer the prayer outside the courtyard. So these very prominent changes is only with the advent of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya here. So we have to respond to each and every call for the community. And this revolution, which is because of the Ahmadiyya community, that people are increasing in their worship, advancing in the worship, and also advancing in their financial sacrifices. This is a great revolution. And this is something which should draw the attention of old Ahmadis. Sometimes they are not paying attention to their worship, and despite the good conditions, affluence, they are not paying that much contributions as they should. And then another Muslim from Cameroon, Mr. Abu Bakr, he says that in the extreme north of Cameroon, when we went there to appeal for the contribution of Tehrik, and in each house we appealed to all the members of the community. One body, Sadiq, he's mentioned that last time when you came and you appealed for the contribution, so I promised to pay 10,000 sifa in this appeal. And only a few days after that, my son told me that he want to go for an employment in custom department, but a big amount is required. And in third world countries, like the third world countries, sometime in order to get the job, they have to pay something to the officers. So I told my son that I am a poor man. I cannot arrange such a huge amount. I just have the 10,000 sifa which I have promised to pay for Tehrik Jadid. So therefore you go for the interview and Allah Almighty will help you. Usman Sahib says that I paid the whole amount for Tehrik Jadid, and just a few days later on I got a telephone call from my son that I have passed the test and very soon I am going to get the job. Allah Almighty changed the condition of the heart of the officers, that other people, they did not get the job, and this son of this devotee, because of his pious intention and sacrifice, Allah Almighty arranged the job for him. Then in the Gambia, Amir Sahib writes from there that Niamey district, when we went for Tehrik Jadid and the program was held there, and we told them that this Khalifa of the time said that all the new converts, they should become a part of this campaign. So all the people who were present there, they paid the contribution. One lady, she said that she paid only $20, which that was the only amount that he had, which she had kept for some urgent need in future. She says that when she arrived back home, somebody gave him exactly $20 as gift, and next day he came to the mosque and she paid 50 pounds more, and she said that this is just this amount I got because of the blessing of Chanda, the contribution. So the promise of Allah Almighty that He will pay back, that is sometimes becomes the means of increasing the faith of the people. Although she did not do the sacrifice with this intention that Allah Almighty is going to return this contribution, or I should get something immediately, but Allah Almighty did not leave it pending. Then from Benin, in the region Boigo, the missionary writes from there that in this city, the Secretary Finance in this city, the means of his earning, that was a three-wheel motor rickshaw, which was stolen. In Africa, anything if it is stolen, then it is almost impossible to get it back. So when his friends and well-wishers, they came and they expressed sorrow on the thing stolen, but he said that I have full dependence in my Allah Almighty. I am a poor person and I earn whatever I earn through this motorcycle, and I pay for my family expenses and pay my contribution on time. So it may be that somebody is more in need of me, more in need of this transport than me. So Allah Almighty has made this arrangement for him temporarily, and after that he will return to me. And the people used to say that as if he is overstuck with the sorrow of this, and he has suffered some mental shock. But anyway, he reported to the police as well because of legal requirement, and sat at home with comfort. And within 2 weeks, his neighbor, who also runs the same business of rickshaw, and he telephoned this person that I have seen your motorcycle somewhere, but the color has been changed. So the matter was reported to police, and so police asked them to bring the papers of both the vehicles and come to the police station, and the papers were all fictitious, and that person who stole that, and he was asked to repair the motorcycle and bring it to the back position and color and return to the owner. And in this way he got back his motorcycle, and he took the motorcycle and immediately came to the mission house and related the whole thing, and said that I have yet to pay the Chanda Tehrik Jadid, so now I'm going to get the job, and in this week whatever income I will get, that I will give in my contribution, because it is due to the blessing of Chanda that I have got back my transport, my motorcycle. And 12,000 franc sifa he paid as contribution that week. So this is a good example of dependence upon Allah and complete reliance on that. From India, Inspector Tehrik Shahab Sahib writes that Jamaat Ahmadiyya, Chinta Kunta, a girl, Sophia Begum, she sent a message through her brother that when I was too small, that I used to go to the meetings with my mother, and I used to listen to the speeches of the scholar, that when Hadhrat Muslim Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, he laid the foundation of Tariq-e-Deed and he asked for the financial sacrifices. So many ladies at that time, they presented their ornaments and jewelry for this purpose. Whenever I listened to this faith-inspiring incident, there was a desire in my heart that if I have some jewelry, I could also pay like that. But because of poverty, this was impossible for me to do so. But now I have got 2 tola of gold, which I have got from my mother. And I don't think whether this jewelry remains with me in future or not. Inspector Sahib told her that now you are going to get married and there will be you will need some jewelry. But she was adamant, and the amount equal to that jewelry she paid as contribution. Last week in America I said, and I say it again, that the poor people, they are making sacrifices, but the rich people, those who are affluent, and their conditions are better, they have to keep an eye on their conditions, that whether their standard of sacrifice, financial sacrifice, is such regarding which Allah Almighty says that such standard should be there, and then Allah Almighty accepts that. If from India, Huzur says, one inspector from Karnataka district, he says that one person, his 2,500 rupees was due from him as Chanda Tariq-e-Deed. He was requested that it's the few days left in the end of the year. So he said that because of rain for the last 3 weeks, I have not been able to do any job, and I don't hope to get any money. He said, I told him that you make a intention to pay and then pray to Allah Almighty. He will help you. So after saying that, I went to another place in the evening after the tour of other places. When I came back, and this person came to the mission and he paid the whole money due. And I asked him how it happened. He said that this was the result of the intention and the blessing of making this contribution. It is the blessing of Allah Almighty. I also prayed for that. And somebody had to pay something to me as the return of the loan. And I was asking him for many, many months, and he was not paying. And today, all of a sudden, he came himself and he returned my money. Then Huzur says from Tanzania, Maulana Sahib writes from there, Musa Sahib, that a very devout person from Darussalam, and he is working in the Jamaat office as well. His intention and his desire is that the payment of his and his family should be paid before Ramadan. But because of the financial situation, he could not pay, and he was very much worried about that. Anyway, he prayed that Allah Almighty open up some way for him. On the occasion of Eid, he says that they get some money as Eidi from the community, to the workers of the Jamaat it is given. So when this was given, so that is thought that this donation is going to come to me, I will pay from that. But when he calculated, then the gift of the Eid which normally is given, after paying whole of it, still there was some outstanding amount of contribution. Then he prayed to Allah Almighty that Allah Almighty makes such arrangements that according to my promise, I may be able to pay the full. And he says that this time, that when I got the Eid gift, and that was more than what he used to get in previous years. And he was able to pay off all the outstanding contributions from Moscow, the missionary from there, Rizvi Sahib, he writes from there that a new convert, Adam Sahib, he relates to a far off area of Russia. In 2017, he was able to accept Ahmadiyyat. This year, in March, he came for a week to Moscow so that he can meet the Ahmadi people, and also educational and practical experience could be gained. He belongs to a poor family, and because of poverty, sometimes he has to go through very difficult stages during the stay in Moscow. After the Isha prayer, he was told about the financial system and the sacrifices of the Jamaat, and also he was asked to pay some contribution. Because of his limited resources and poverty, it was thought that if he is able to pay 50 rubles, that would be a great sacrifice on his part. Next day in the morning, after Fajr, he paid the Tehrik Jadid and Waqf Jadid, he paid 2,000 rubles. And he said that accept this contribution from me. And also he was saying that I am so sorry that why I didn't pay before, and why did I make such a delay. And the missionary, according to their condition, he says that it was a huge sacrifice which he made. So these are the standards of sacrifice, and these are the people regarding which the promised Messiah ﷺ has written that one is really surprised to see at the level of their sacrifices. And again, from Moscow, the missionary from there writes that the member of the Jamaat Moscow, he has been working in various sections and departments. And the place where he's working these days, regarding that, he said that while giving the interview, the owners, they told me that we don't increase the payment. Whatever the payment, the salary is there, you will have to live in that. There will be no increase. So if you think this salary is acceptable, then you join the job, otherwise leave it. I accepted the offer and I took the job. And after some time, regarding Tehrik Jadid and Waqf Jadid, when from the Jamaat the appeal was made, so then I started paying contribution regularly in these appeals. And after some time, the administration of my company, they called me. And without any reason, first my 5,000 rubles, they increased in that. And again, after that, 2,000 rubles were increased further. And he says that I was definite that this is only the result of sacrifice in the way of Allah Almighty. Otherwise, worldly wise, this is not possible. And whenever I try to tell some non-Ahmadi about that, they totally do not understand this thing. And this is that a person who believes in the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, he can understand that how Allah Almighty, without any apparent reason or cause, Allah Almighty gave him all this blessing because of his bounty. From Babin, Elada, the missionary from there writes that a Jamaat in the region, Banji, where the Jamaat has been able to build a mosque, the president over there, who is a blacksmith, and he was asked to make the contribution, so he made a promise for some increase, but he said that because nowadays I am very tight financially, it does not seem possible. But he telephoned later on that I have to pay 10,000 sifa as contribution, and after this payment Allah Almighty blessed him more, and he said that I got a job, and I got a proper job, and I'm going to pay this contribution of 10,000 sifa. Anyway, after this payment, he says that after 15 days, he again telephoned that Allah Almighty has blessed me very much, and it's so much that I don't know whether I will be able to job completely in time or not. It's a big job that I have got, and this is the result of making contribution. So here, Allah Almighty, according to His promise, gives back many times more and multiplies it. And from Ali, the missionary, writes from there, one day a blind lady sent some contribution and sent the message that in future every month she would be sending her contribution there. She was asked for reason. She said, sometime Allah Almighty draws their attention and makes them to make the contribution so that Allah Almighty can give them more. She said that 2 days before I saw in the dream that Hadhrat promised Messiah ﷺ, she said I was sleeping, and the promised Messiah ﷺ woke me up and asked me to pay contribution. So in the dream I get up and I make the 5,000 sifa in the mission, and after that I woke up. From Burkina Faso, Mubarak Munir Sahib, the missionary, he writes that a very devout Ahmadi, Al-Haj Ibrahim, his 2 children, they were sick for some time. The treatment did not work, and one day Maulim Sahib told him about the financial sacrifice, and according to his capacity he gave the contribution, and he prayed to Allah Almighty, accept my prayer, my contribution and give health to my children. And after a few days, by the grace of Allah, the condition of his children started improving and became better, and one completely recovered and the other is also improving. He is also confident and sure that Allah Almighty has accepted his sacrifice and gave this blessing. From Burkina Faso, Bogo city, the secretary from there writes that I offer my Wasiyat Chanda regularly every month, but Tahrik-e-Deed and Waqf-e-Deed, there is some time a delay. Once when they listened to my khutbah, after that he thought that why not before the end of the year I should make all the contribution, all the promise. And after the payment, then he saw in the dream that a man with the white clothes is giving me a key, and I didn't understand the dream. After a few days, my brother told me that you get ready to perform the Hajj and I will pay for that. So in this way, because of this financial sacrifice, he was able to perform Hajj. The Germany Secretary Tahrik-e-Deed says that a member of the Jamaat, he increased 900 euro, and the person says that the day I paid the contribution, when I went to my firm, then the owner said that I have increased your pay by 100 euro, and from February to that time, so it was almost equal to 900 euros. And I was confident, he says, that Allah Almighty will make the arrangement for that, but I didn't know that Allah Almighty will not even let 24 hours pass by and he will make the arrangement for that. In Germany, Secretary Tahrik-e-Deed says that a person, because of asylum case, he was in difficulty. They were asked to reminded of the importance of the sacrifice, and they were asked to make the contribution. A few days after that he met, and he said that you had drawn my attention for contribution of Tahrik-e-Deed, so I promised 100 euro. At that time I had only 20 euro. So 20 euro I immediately paid, and I went to home. And when I arrived home, then the place where I used to work, the telephone call came that there is some amount in your credit for you, and maybe 3,000 or 400,000 the money which I got from there, that I put it in my pocket without counting. And first of all I paid the 80 euro remaining of my promise, and then I spent something money, and then when I calculated, then I came to know that they paid me 1,000 euro. So I promised €100. Allah Almighty gave me 10 times more, €1,000. So I used to listen such examples before, and I used to wonder whether Allah Almighty does like that to his servants. But now I have got my personal experience in this field. From Ivory Coast, the missionary writes that regarding Chanda Tahrik-e-Jadid, he went in one place. The community has many new converts, and all the people joined. And when the speech was made on the importance of Tahrik-e-Jadid and the objectives, and we told them that Khalifatul Massih has said that all members, they should partake from this blessing. Next day in the morning after the Fajr prayer, when members of the Jamaat, according to their ability, they started paying. So then the Imam Masjid, he also participated in that, and on behalf of his family, he paid the contribution of Tahrik-e-Jadid. And after that, his 6-year son, so he took 100 sifa from his father and said, "This is my contribution." So then we loved this gesture of the young boy, that how much he is dedicated to financial sacrifice. So Allah Almighty accept the sacrifice of these new converts, and give them all the blessings of the world and the hereafter. Hadhrat Massih Maud ﷺ, in one place he has mentioned that on one occasion a Maulvi appealed for some sacrifice. His wife was also there, and she was very much impressed, and she said, and she took off all the jewelry and gave for this contribution for the purpose of the mosque. So the Maulvi said that this was not for other people, it is not for you, don't make the sacrifice. But here the community of the promised Messiah ﷺ, Maulvi and their children, they are all taking part in it. In Indonesia, there is one example from there. A lady from there writes that in 2014, I converted to Islam, to Ahmadiyya from Christianity. My Christian family started opposing me, and they called me names and disgraced me. And the members of the family thought that I am no longer a member of the family. But Jamaat gave me all the love and care, and I was engaged to one Ahmadi. And my husband suffered in an accident, and there was a fracture of bone on the left leg. And I was pregnant for 4 months at that time, and the new year of Tahrik-e-Jadid was starting. So I asked the husband, how much is the promise? So he said with confidence that 500,000 rupee, Indonesian rupee, is very low in value. But anyway, for those people who are living there, it's quite valuable. Because next year I will get the job. I was very surprised. She says, I was very much surprised that now he's walking with sticks. How he's going to get the job? But anyway, according to his wish, I made the promise, and the new year was about to start. And my husband is without job. How he's going to pay the money promise? And we prayed in that situation, and Allah Almighty showed his power. And my husband got a job in a private company, and according to our promise, we made 100% contribution that we promised. From Indonesia again, a lady writes that in the last Ramadan, our family was suffering some difficulty. My father-in-law fell ill. He was admitted to hospital, and he stayed there for 1 month. And then the situation became so critical that he was in ICU, and there was no hope of recovery, of survival. So then she remembered my khutbah, in which the blessing of Tahrik-e-Jadid was mentioned. So all the family members together, they decided that we have to pay full amount of Tahrik-e-Jadid this month, and practically they paid the full promise that they had made. And they wrote to me for prayer, and it says that by the grace of Allah, as a result of the prayer and sacrifice, the condition of my father-in-law improved, and after a few days he was asked to go back to home. And when the neighbors told about that, so they were very much surprised that how is it possible that in such a critical sickness the person right at the door of death can recover and come back. From UK, the president of Birmingham Central Jamaat says that from the target of Tariq-e-Deed, we were less than by 1,500 pounds, and there were few days in the time limit. We appealed to various people, and one person who had already paid 2,400 pounds, so he will pay another 1,500, and he was out. He paid the contribution online because he was out of country, and the day when he paid this money, the next day from the tax department, he got a return of 6,000 pounds from the tax department. So Allah Almighty gave him 4 times more than immediately. The sacrifices of the poor people, Allah Almighty helps them, and surprising treatment is there from Burundi. The Maulim Sahib says that last year we visited a new Jamaat, and a new convert member was there. We told him about the new contribution of Tariq-e-Deed, and he was appealed to make some contribution. He said that I don't have anything with me at the moment, but there is a fruit tree, but I will be able to pay some contribution after selling the fruit. So these sacrifices in olden days that we see, they are also visible these days. So when the fruit was there, 1,000 Burundi was the price he got from the fruit, and he paid all that in contribution. And he said later on that the fruit that he sold, and because of that Allah Almighty gave me a lot of blessing, and now that tree is giving many times more fruit, which is sometimes 40,000 Burundi. That is the yield of that. Congo, Brazil, Maulim Sahib writes that a person, his son was not feeling well for some time. When he was asked to go the contribution, so he made the contribution, and also he prayed that, oh my Allah, because of the blessing of this chanda contribution, my child may recover. And he said that within few days he recovered, and I was surprised that how Allah Almighty listens to our prayers, and as the reward of our humble sacrifices are given there. From Canada, Senator Tariq-e-Deed Lajna writes that his sister told that his husband made a promise, but he was out of job for a long time, so therefore he couldn't pay. And there was only 1 week left in the end of the year. Secretary Finance went to his home to get the contribution, and husband was not there. The wife said, I don't have anything. And then the lady said that I can't go you back empty-handed. So she paid some contribution, and she says that as a blessing of this contribution, and the husband got a job of $7,000 monthly. From Ivory Coast, the missionary writes there, San Pedro, there is a tifl who is only 14. His father told that on Sunday I asked my child to do some domestic duty. He said that I collect a contribution as Secretary Finance of Atfal, and I have not paid myself. So on other days I have to go to school. So today I want to do some labor in the field of somewhere, so that the money I get I give for contribution. The father said that I make the payment on your behalf, but the son replied that the children should make the contribution from their pocket money. But this time I can't make any contribution from my pocket money, so I want to do some work, so that whatever money I get I will pay from that. So he did go for the work and then paid from there. So this thinking is also there in the children so far away, and those who participate in this contribution which Allah Almighty is creating. In Germany, National Secretary Tehrik Hadith says that Khil Jamaat, the lady said that my mother in Pakistan was a school teacher, and she used to give a lot of financial sacrifice on the occasion of Eid, and all the children used to get the children. But my mother also wanted to do that she should make the contribution and be included in the Du'aya list. And then later on she made the contribution and later on continued to pay it back. When Masjid Bisharat was there, then she presented some ornaments, and she got a lot of blessing as a result of that. She says that I was a child at that time, and I was thinking that putting oneself into hardship is not right, and this idea was very much present in my mind. Last year when the appeal was made regarding Tehrik Jadid, so I said that I would not like to become like my mother, that those who will present everything. So apparently in a wise way I made a promise of 30 or 35 euro, but it was a doing of Allah that immediately there was two growths in my neck, and I was very much worried about that, and I mentioned to the doctor, and at that time I didn't like the jewelry or the clothes or anything. And one day she listened to my sermon, Hazur's sermon, and where I mentioned about the sacrifice. So she said that after listening to this khutbah, the sermon, I thought that all my jewelry I should pay in Tehrik Jadid, and I paid that. And after that, when I went back to the doctor, then the doctor told that these growth is benign, and Allah Almighty gave me the health from this dangerous sickness, and Allah Almighty gave me the reward of that, and all these things are gone, and my husband was under instruction not to pay because of working in a certain hotel. So I made a promise that I will 500,000 euro if my husband gets a job, and now both the husband and wife, they are paying their contributions. Lahore, Secretary Lajna Tehrik Jadid writes that Wapra, a member of that, for 1.5 years she was suffering from a breath condition, and she increased by 50,000 rupees, and Allah Almighty blessed him, and despite the sickness, this was recurring again and again, but now by the grace of Allah she is fully recovered, Alhamdulillah. Amir Sahib Gambia writes that Jarrah district, the person from there, he used to pay the Chanda Tehrik Jadid regularly, and there was recently a disease regarding the foot of the animals, and he lost his some people their children, they lost their animals, but his all animals, they survived. So he said that I sacrifice one animal and give as charity, and this is why Allah Almighty has protected my animals from this disease. And other people also, when they listened, they also paid the contribution for Tehrik Jadid. Then they felt that the condition of their animals is improving, and the veterinary doctor said that no animal will survive from this sickness. But when the veterinary doctor came again after 1 month and he examined, so he asked that what method have you adopted, because all the animals, they are free from that disease. So at that old lady from that village, she brought the receipt of that contribution and said that this is our recipe of cure. And the doctor said he would made a research about the Ahmadiyya community. Then a lot of literature was given to him. So in these far off areas, the people over there, you see that how they are increasing in their faith and sacrifice. And this is dedication and dependence upon Allah Almighty and reliance on Allah Almighty is such that which is attracting the other people about the truth of Ahmadiyyat. Allah Almighty in their iman and faith and conviction, Allah Almighty improve that and always look upon them with mercy. By the grace of Allah, in these incidents which I have narrated, after that now, as normally in the beginning of November, the new year of Tariq Eid is announced. I announced the new year of Tariq Eid. I mentioned some particulars of the last year. It is the 85th year of Tariq Eid, which is starting. Actually, it has started from the 1st of November. In the 84th year, the blessing of Allah Almighty, which the report is that according to the reports received, it's 12,793,000 pounds. Allah Almighty enabled all the devotees to make the contribution, and this the same. And compared with the last year, it is 200,000 pounds more, despite all the financial condition of the world. Despite all that, Allah Almighty bless them to increase. From the collective point of view, collection, Pakistan is number 1, and after that number Germany is 1, Britain number 2, America is 3, and Canada number 4. Number 5th is Bharat, and 6th is Australia. 7 is Middle East, one Jamaat over there. Then number 8 is Indonesia. Then 9 is Ghana, and 10th is again a Jamaat from the Middle East. And per head payment, the Switzerland number 1, America number 2, then UK, then Australia, Singapore, Sweden, Belgium, Germany, Canada, and Finland. From African countries, collective collection, the outstanding Jamaats is Ghana, Nigeria, Gambia, Tanzania. And the total number of the participants, the attention is being paid to the number by the grace of Allah. This year, 1,717,000 people have been increased. So this the total number, and increase is 117,000. And the big Jamaat where increase is there: Niger, Benin, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo Kinshasa, Liberia, Mauritius, and Ivory Coast. They have considerable increases there. In big Jamaats, Indonesia, Germany, India, Pakistan, Canada, America, Norway, and Malaysia, the participants are there. And the Daftar Awwal, the first office, the ledgers, they are all open, which are 5,927. In the financial sacrifices, the 3 big districts in Pakistan, the report from there, number 1 is Lahore, and then Rabwa, then Karachi. Rabwa is considered in the list of these districts, although it is not a district, but it's only a city. And the offering maximum sacrifices, the district are Sialkot, Sargodha, Gujarat, Gujranwala, Umarkot, Hyderabad, Narowal, Mirpur Khas, Toba Tek Singh, Mirpur Khas. And the outstanding Jamaats are Islamabad, Amarat, Defence Lahore, Amarat Township Lahore, Amarat Azizabad Karachi, Peshawar, Amarat Gulshan Iqbal Karachi, Amarat Karimnagar Faisalabad, Quetta, Nawab Shah, Bahawalpur, and Okada. And the Germany outstanding Jamaats, first 10 Jamaats: Neuss, Rodenbach, Pinneberg, Mahdiabad, Kiel, Florsheim, Koblenz, Weingarten, Cologne, and Limburg. And the local Amarat is also 10: Hamburg, Frankfurt, Morfelden, Gross-Gerau, Ditzbach, Wiesbaden, Riedstadt, Offenbach, and Darmstadt. The In the America, there are London, the London B, London A, Midland, Northeast and South. And the 10 Jamaats, big Jamaats is Masjid Fazl, Worcester Park, Birmingham South, New Malden, Bradford North, Islamabad, Birmingham West, Glasgow, Gillingham, Scunthorpe. And the small Jamaats are 5, Spen Valley, Swansea, North Wales, South Wales, Edinburgh. And the 5 regions are Southwest, Midland, Islamabad, Northeast and Scotland. The collective Jamaat Oshkosh and Silicon Valley, Seattle, Detroit, Silver Spring, York, Central Virginia, Georgia, Atlanta and Los Angeles East, and Central Virginia and Laurel. And the Canada, there are Jamaat for collection, Brampton, Peace Village, Calgary, Vancouver, Western and Mississauga. And from the point of view of collection, the outstanding Jamaats are Edmonton West. First was the Amarat and this is the Jamaats. Edmonton West, Durham, Hamilton, Southwest, Bradford, Saskatoon North. In India, the 10 big Jamaats from the point of contribution: Qadian, Punjab, Hyderabad, Telangana, Pathprim, Perim, Kerala, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, Calicut, Kerala, Hengoloro, Karnataka, Kolkata, Bengal, Pengadi, Kerala, Kannur Town, Kerala, Yadgir, Karnataka. And from the province, the outstanding is in the first number Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Jammu Kashmir, Odisha, Punjab, Bengal, Delhi, Maharashtra. And from collective collection, Australia, the 10 Jamaats are Castle Hill, Melbourne, Berwick, ACT, Canberra, Penzith, Melbourne, Long, Marsden Park, Adelaide South, Brisbane, Logan, Brisbane, Pegminton. And per person collection is Tasmania, ACT, Canberra, Castle Hill, Darwin, Marsden Park, Melbourne, Berwick, Sydney, Perth, Campbelltown and Parramatta. Allah Almighty, all those people who have given the sacrifice, Allah Almighty bless all of them. People generally hope to listen after my tour. Inshallah, in the next Friday sermon I will do that.